Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty back, sort of, with my list of games to grab before the eShop closes. So like I mentioned last video, I pretty much exhausted my list of games, but since my phone finally got its data for the month, I was able to get on the eShop and grab some DSiWare titles, which don't show up on the online store. I also plan to use this video for a few other titles and to elaborate on some things, since I also use being able to use my phone's Wi-Fi to run around and grab a bunch of DLC. So first, I wanted to kind of toss out a warning. You may be aware that you can only have so many badges in your inventory, and even that you can only have so many on your home screen, but what you may not know is that this limit actually includes games, even if they're like tucked into folders. Because of this data thing, I downloaded a bunch of stuff all at once, and it messed up my layout by replacing a bunch of badges, and not even right away. I thought putting some games into folders would prevent this, but nope. Next, I want to talk about Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, which I briefly mentioned in one of my other videos. I actually played this one now, so I can give you a bit more information. It's a humorous game where there's this dog shopkeeper, and he sells you various baseball-themed games, most of which are very fun. And like each game has like one is themed around like hitting, and then there's like 5 different hitting mini games, and then like each one of those has like 5 different levels that get progressively harder, and there's one themed around catching, and you get the idea. And these games cost real eShop money. That's the DLC. You can haggle with Rusty to get the price down, and if you go over on GameFAQs, the GameFAQs board for this game, a user called The Rooster has a great guide over there that is well worth checking out. It is on the message boards. I think I may have actually used that myself. I didn't realize it at first. But this is how you get the DLC, and you do have to progress through the game somewhat, because like when you're haggling with him, sometimes you'll have to give him items, and you get items by beating the mini-games. It won't take a long time to get everything you need to get the games for the cheapest price, which is roughly like $1.50 each. But yeah, I wanted to let you all know that, because we're all kind of crunched for time, and I was kind of shocked when that burst in on me at the last minute. Also about the Pix games, Link-a-Pix, Block-a-Pix, and Pick-a-Pix. Apparently only Pick-a-Pix has DLC puzzles. I was surprised too. And now I want to move on to some actual games. First we have GG Series, Black Times Block. This is a puzzle game where you control a little stick figure on a level with a white grid background. You can kind of like snatch up these black blocks in various shapes, think like Tetris pieces, one at a time, and you can set them down, rotate them, and so forth to try and complete the level. It's actually pretty hard, at least on normal difficulty, but it definitely seems intriguing. I could see a lot of people really liking this one. Next is, looks like my screen, GG Series Run and Strike. So this is kind of like the old arcade game Breakout. You control a female tennis player and have to run back and forth, up and down, and hit a tennis ball into marked sections of the wall across from you. There are power-ups, and it can get pretty fast-paced. I wasn't super enjoying playing it just because it's a little hard to move that fast, but that might have just been because of, the situation that I'm in. But yeah. Soul of Darkness. I only played a little of this, but it is really similar to Castlevania in how it plays and the graphic style. Particularly, it reminds me a lot of Symphony of the Night. There was some interesting story at the start. I have no idea if there's more as you progress. You're a guy who's trained to fight vampires after a past tragedy, and now you have to save a mysterious girl that you've fallen in love with. It's got pretty good ratings for a DSiWare title, so you might want to grab it if you're into this style of game. Animal Puzzle Adventure. Somewhat cutesy puzzle game. I played a few minutes to try and get a feel for it. Seems to be that basically 2 animals are on a small map, and you have to get both of them into their barns at the same time. The gimmick being that you are controlling them in unison. Move one up and the other one moves up as well, and you have to use obstacles in the environment to try and work it out. This game was really not for me. I probably would not have bought it if I'd realized this was what it was. I don't really care for those games where you control 2 things at once. Ancient Tribe. I tried to play this one to get a feel for it, but it's a bit too in-depth for that. It's like a management sim. You're some kind of god. You hire units, send them on adventures, build stuff. But it's a DSiWare title, so it might not be that great. Still, I couldn't find it for anything else, so if you're a fan of those kinds of games, you might want to check it out. Castle Magic. This just looks like your standard platformer. It's kind of colorful, and you play as a mage. I think you can cast spells at enemies. This one is actually not DSiWare, but Resident Evil: The Mercenaries 3D. I've never really played this one or any version of The Mercenaries besides the one in Village, but I've heard good things about it. And I had grabbed this one while it was on sale, but I wasn't going to include it on this list because the physical version is pretty affordable. Someone on GameFAQs, however, said that only the digital version lets you delete your save for replays. Not entirely sure what that means, but they seemed to prefer that. Base is loaded. I know I said I didn't really intend to go into Virtual Console titles, but I want to pad this list out a bit, and I'd hate for certain games to get overlooked. I used to love playing this one on the original Nintendo as a kid. You control a tiny baseball team, either batting and trying to reach home, or trying to catch the other team's ball and toss it to a teammate in time for them to tag someone out. I remember control shifting to whoever had the ball in those instances, and it was a lot of fun. The Adventures of Lolo. Another NES title. This is a puzzle game that involves collecting hearts to access a chest in each stage, all for the goal of saving your kidnapped girlfriend. Not really much else to say there. Prince of Persia. Also for NES, it's been ages since I've played this one, but I remember liking it quite a lot. It always reminded me of Aladdin, mainly because you control a dude trying to rescue a princess from an evil sorcerer, and everyone looks like they're from Agrabah. Is that a real place? Well, I remember running and climbing and maybe fighting some enemies. Excite Bike. This is actually one of the first NES games I got for the DS. You control a guy on a motorbike trying to win a race while dealing with various obstacles. It's also pretty straightforward. And finally, Unchained Blades. I only know that this is an RPG with nice looking art. I've been aware of this one for quite some time and wasn't originally planning to put it on this list, but it is digital only, and the only other console you can currently get it on is the Vita, I believe. It was originally released for PSP, but the PSP store is no longer accessible. We've already had a store closure scare with Vita and PS3 once, and when you consider all the limits that the Vita has memory card-wise, you might just want to grab it now on the eShop. So that's it for now. Please let me know if any of these games caught your eye, or if you can think of any other titles. I'd love to hear in the comments. And if I didn't say it, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!